Vale. How bad is Tonga Loa in WWE actually?
The infamous Tonga
Loa.
Silent assassin doesn't say much, but is utterly devastating inside those ropes.
And this is a smash mouth superstar in every sense of the word. And now from behind, oh, and a low blow! He's the MVP
Bacha
of
Loa. My
some
goat.
people get it, immediately. And then some people, it just takes a while. I feel like it's taken me just a little bit.
The Bloodline has without question been the premier faction of WWE for almost half a decade now. And while Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga have proven to be great additions to this new iteration of the group, one member in particular has garnered a lot of notoriety for all the wrong reasons. I'm talking of course about the infamous Tonga Loa. A man with so many iconic botches to his name, many believe it's become his gimmick at this point. So what exactly happened? And has he always been this bad ever since? For us to answer these questions, we have to go back to his first run in WWE. Tonga Loa, whose real name is Tevita Fifita, started his wrestling career in November of 2008 alongside his brother Alipate Fifita, aka Tama Tonga, in a tag team called the Sons of Tonga, a reference to their father, the legendary Haku. Together, the brothers would wrestle in several indie promotions, including WXW and WWC, before taking part in a WWE tryout camp that same month. Tevita was offered a contract shortly after and officially
can't be that bad if they got a WWE contract.
Florida Championship
I don't know how, but
in March of 2009. His brother, however, wasn't as fortunate, and he would continue making a name for himself in the independent scene instead. As a young prospect, Tevita spent the next 2 years in developmental, working under several guises, before eventually settling in as Donnie Marlowe, where he won the FCW Tag Team Championship with CJ Parker. He would make his main roster debut on the December 15, 2011 episode of WWE Superstars with little to no fanfare as Unico's hired muscle named Camacho. Camacho wouldn't really do much of anything in his first appearance as he just stood at ringside looking menacingly, with Unico making short work of his opponent. Then, the following week on Superstars, Unico faced a tougher opponent in Ezekiel Jackson, and this time, Camacho paid dividends as he provided a distraction which allowed Unico to get the upset victory. On the last SmackDown of 2011, we'd find out more about Camacho and his origins during an unintentionally hilarious pre-match promo
Bro,
where he
what
tried
was
his
Vince
best
doing,
Mexican
bro?
impression.
This is my homie Camacho from back in the barrio.
We plan on taking over the WWE in 2012. Simon Este in 2012.
Hi, Tonga.
We won't see Camacho wrestle until the
Simon.
February 17, 2012 edition of SmackDown, where he and Unico competed in an Elimination Chamber qualifying Battle Royal. He didn't last very long though, getting eliminated by Ted DiBiase Jr., who had been feuding with Unico for the past couple of weeks. Back at Superstars, Unico and Camacho wrestled their first match together as a tag team, defeating the Usos in a decent
And now they fighting the Usos
However,
again.
they'd be
With
unsuccessful
Tonga
in their
Loa.
second tag match, losing to the team of Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. Oddly enough, Camacho would get his first not pre-show pay-per-view match just a few weeks later at Over the Limit as he went one-on-one with Ryback. This ended up being nothing more than a squash match though, as Ryback was still in the early stages of a monster push. After the pay-per-view, he would find himself mostly relegated to wrestling on the recently rebooted version of WWE's developmental brand, NXT. While still appearing regularly on the main roster, it was only to accompany Unico in his matches and provide the occasional assist. Camacho would lose his first match in NXT facing a young Seth Rollins before getting his win back in a 6-man tag later that night. Then, on the 1000th episode of Raw, Unico and Camacho, along with other underutilized stars, all came out to interrupt Kane's entrance, complaining about not getting any opportunities. They decided to take matters into their own hands and create one for themselves, surrounding the Big Red Machine until The Undertaker came out to help his brother. The Brothers of Destruction would easily take care of the Job Squad, ending the segment in a great fan service moment. This would end up being one of the only highlights of the bike riding duo's time together, and also one of Unico's last appearances for quite some time, as he underwent knee surgery which took him out of action for the rest of the year. And so, Camacho had to wrestle as a single star for the rest of 2012 until early 2013, mostly jobbing to other, more important stars. Unico would finally return to action in late November and resume his partnership with Camacho,
from the bottom
only to
before
lose
you at the
every
top.
subsequent match on the main roster
That's how it
after.
is. this.
Finding themselves in a slump, the duo tried to change their fortunes in NXT and started feuding with then NXT Tag Team Champions The Ascension in December of 2013.
Oh my god, I
They would
remember
manage to
them.
score an upset victory against
Wonder
the
what
champs in a
happened to them
non-title
too.
match, but then lost the next one, which was for the NXT Tag Team titles. Tied at 1 win apiece, their blow-off match would be held under Tornado Tag rules, which they unfortunately lost again. And this would turn out to be Unico and Camacho's final appearance together, as Unico officially donned the Sin Cara persona again when the previous one was released in February of 2014. As for Camacho,
I didn't
he
even
would
know that
stick
was
around
him.
NXT as a full-time singles superstar but never really broke out, as he mostly spent the remainder of his time feuding with and losing to Adam Rose. He then got
Bruh.
released shortly after
Imagine
on
losing
June
to
12
Adam
2014
Rose.
as part of the company's yearly house cleaning. After a very forgettable stint in WWE, Fifita sought greener pastures elsewhere, debuting on TNA Impact's one-night-only gut check pay-per-view on February 16th the following year and won a tournament to secure a contract with the company. Now going by the name Micah, he would form a faction with Drew Galloway and Eli Drake, calling themselves The Rising. The group was essentially created to
Drew
combat
McIntyre and
MVP's
LA
beatdown
Knight.
clan
Yeah.
faction, but found little to no success,
That's
as they
his
ended up
famous
being on the
promo.
wrong side of a beatdown pretty much every time they were together. And after several months of the two factions feuding with each other, the Rising was forced to disband on the July 1st episode of Impact when they lost to the Beatdown Clan in a 4-on-3 handicap elimination match. This split though didn't do Micah any favors either, as he lost almost all of his matches following their disbandment, and his run in Impact ended in yet another forgettable
Yeah, put in
failure,
that work.
much like in WWE.
But
After
that's
his
now he's the
release from
GOAT now.
Impact, Fifita made the
The
jump to
next
the
tribal
other side
chief.
of the world and signed with New Japan
He will
Pro
be the
Wrestling,
next
where he
tribal
would
chief.
finally
Yeah.
reunite with his brother Tama Tonga. It was here where he truly found his footing and flourished as a tag team specialist. Introduced by his brother as the newest
Bullet
member
Club.
of the Bullet Club faction in March of 2016, the now rechristened Tonga Loa immediately made an impact, attacking Togi Makabe during his match with Tama and forming the tag team that would be known as the Guerrillas of Destiny. GOD didn't waste time seeking for gold, as they challenged Makabe and his partner Tomoaki Honma for the IWGP Tag Team Championship at the Invasion Attack pay-per-view. And after a hard-fought 20-minute battle, the brothers managed to capture the titles,
Hey,
their
my
first of
goat.
many in the promotion. From here, up until their departure in early 2024, the Guerrillas of Destiny would become a fixture in New Japan's tag division, producing great matches with the
He's
likes of
gonna
the
be
Briscoes and
goated at
Chaos, while
4
holding the record
games.
for the most number of IWGP Tag Team title reigns at 7. While far from being the
Damn.
best in-ring workers in the company, they more than made up for it with presentation, putting on sick-looking war paint in their faces, and having probably the most badass theme song of any tag team ever. In June of 2022, however, GOD would experience a major blow in their momentum,
of tag
as Tonga
team
Loa
champions.
suffered an MCL tear that took him out of action for more than a year.
Championships
During
all
his
over the
time
world.
away, his brother had begun carving out a decent singles run in the mid-card scene and eventually became one of the most over gaijins in the promotion, producing bangers with the likes of Shingo Takagi for the never
See you,
open
Tama
title.
Tonga.
He would
Yeah,
later
yeah, yeah, yeah,
return
yeah,
in July of
yeah.
2023, just in time for the G1 climax.
There's his
but
other
clearly
brother.
looked like an even worse version of himself before the injury. It was in this tournament where we'd get that infamous segment of Tonga
Bruh.
Loa laying the smackdown on Okada.
was so
and
bad,
as he
bruh.
continued wrestling in singles action, his deficiencies got exposed more and more, with the 619 that would make a still alive Rey Mysterio roll in his grave.
Why
in
is
January
he
of 2024, it was
still
reported
alive?
that Tama Tonga's
What are you talking
contract
about,
was
bro?
expiring and had been in serious talks to jump ship to WWE. Those reports would later prove to be true, as not long after, Tama made his shocking debut on the April 12th episode of SmackDown, taking out Jey Uso and forming a new bloodline with Solo Sikoa. And so, it was only a matter of time until Tonga Loa also followed suit. He would wrestle his last match in New Japan on March 31st of 2024, losing to Great Okan in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the King of Pro Wrestling title.
Bro, just hit
An
him.
insanely bizarre bout that featured an ill-eating contest for some reason,
What the
which
hell,
probably
bro?
turned out to be the best one of his singles career as well. Finally, at
He probably
Backlash
lost that too.
2024, Fifita, being slightly renamed again to Tonga Loa, made his WWE re-debut by helping the Bloodline beat Randy Orton and Kevin Owens in a
The
no
legendary
disqualification
run.
match. and yet
That
somehow
started
he
it all.
managed to botch his first spot with the company, with fans catching the ref roll himself outside during a pin attempt due to Tonga's late pullout game. Regardless, he would join as the latest
Late
member of the
pullout
new
game is
Bloodline
crazy.
and had his first match back on the May 31st edition of SmackDown, defeating the Street Profits in tag team action. The group would have more run-ins with Randy and KO over the coming weeks, with Solo eventually reigniting a feud with Cody for the undisputed WWE title. As if the group couldn't get any more dangerous, the unhinged Jacob Fatu would later be added to their ranks, while the wise man Paul Heyman got viciously
But we need a
booted out
wise
of the
man back
faction.
before
At
War
the main event
Games.
of Money in the Bank, the new Bloodline went to war with the team of Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens in 6-man tag team action. And even though the infamous Tonga Loa was not in the match, he was able to sneak himself into the
The green
highlight
shirt
reels,
guy was
this
in
time
shock.
by botching a low blow to Kevin Owens. A few weeks later, he was supposed to compete with Tama in a tag team title gauntlet match. However, he somehow sustained an eye injury during a brawl with Cody and KO the week prior, which led to him getting replaced by Jacob Fatu. The Bloodline would go on to win the tag titles, and after which got involved in Solo's match against Cody for the undisputed WWE title at SummerSlam.
Solo
And
almost
again,
won
the
it
king
too.
of botch style would grace us with yet another
Roman Reigns
masterfully
came back.
executed mishap.
You had one job.
Currently, Tonga Loa continues to run
Exactly,
roughshod
bruh.
over Friday nights along with the Bloodline and has since replaced Jacob as one half of the tag team champions as per Solo's demand. Time will tell when he'll blow up the internet with one of his botches again, but one thing's for sure, it's gonna be
Bruh.
So how bad is Tonga Loa in WWE actually? If I'm to rate his current run on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. Let me explain why. I'm just
he's
gonna
a
go
goat.
ahead and point out the obvious and say that Tonga Loa is arguably one of the weakest in-ring performers in WWE right now. The man just doesn't offer anything to the table that the other members of the Bloodline can't already do better. Well, except for botching, I guess. He's like the guy who's just there to take the pinfall when needed, which kinda reminds me of Giovanni Vinci minus the wrestling skills. And looking at how his previous runs prior to teaming with his brother ended in abject failure, I just find it hard to see him having a successful singles run in WWE once the Bloodline angle had run its course. And also, this might be a stretch, but notice how he's the only member of the Bloodline still without his own music and Titletron. Anyway,
He got
what
it
are
now,
your
though.
thoughts on Tonga Loa? And what's been your favorite botch so far?
Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Peace out, brother.